Why do I hear boss music? Is it because Katep is on his scaly Roomba? Or is it because the Tomb Kings are feeling strong after the Potion of Speed update? Legion of the Desert got some huge unit changes in this most recent of patches, and today we'll be trying out a bunch of them as Sepulchral Stalkers finally get some much needed lovin'. They'll be teaming up with the Casket of Souls, which got a huge accuracy buff, and a Necrolith Colossi, a Bone Giant, which got a huge accuracy nerf. Or did it? From the Bay of Corsairs come the Brayherds of Malagor the Dark Omen, a monster-themed build looking to make use of all those juicy new price reductions. My opponent today is Zach Bisane, and he's playing Beastmen, so it can get really difficult to keep your Casket of Souls online and firing. That's why we have a Tomb Prince and Tomb Guard with Halberds to ward off all that aggression, and more importantly, the Sepulchral Stalkers, which they just feel like a whole new unit now. I love what CA did with them. They have a much more clearly defined role now, and their shooting attack isn't something you can afford to ignore. Sure, they lost some melee attack and missile resist, but their missile velocity, armor piercing, and accuracy is so much better, and they all have stock now. So when they appear on a flank, firing into high-value targets, only way for an opponent to shut them down is to charge them, where they can finally actually make use of that charge defense against large. I'm not sure they're good enough overall to completely change the competitive landscape for the Tomb Kings, but they're not a joke anymore, which is nice. They can be pretty scary. And the Casket of Souls is a serious threat now. Its projectiles are 2.5 times more accurate, which translates to significantly better DPS against infantry and cav, and Katep feels like a force to be reckoned with on this thing. He has Incantation of Righteous Smiting to buff up my Bone Giant, and if you overcast it, grants a crazy good reload speed increase as well. As for the Bone Giant himself, he got more AP, 50 more bonus for large, and his accuracy was reduced by roughly 30%, which sounds like a huge nerf, but I want to see what that means in practical terms. It's a unit that definitely synergizes well with this kind of build. Stalkers in the back line to defend all the stuff coming into the rear, and a spell that turns him into a 50 cal machine gun, essentially. And as you might expect with a build like this one, battle's going to start with one hell of an artillery pounding. While the Casket of Souls is better for killing the Gores and heavy infantry, the Bone Giant wants to snipe out all the Minotaurs and Chaos Spawn, and I think it might be pretty good for doing that, especially when it gets that plus 40 reload skill increase from Patra's Incantation of Righteous Smiting. So the Gore Herd are going to try to close in, and an unlucky shot that was going for the Minotaurs went right into the Gore Herd instead. But this is a full, I wouldn't quite call it a minibus build, but it's pretty close. Koroks Manrippers in the center with Malagor the Dark Omen. Bad News has swift wings, and the Icons of Vilification to drop enemy leadership in an AoE. And all Minotaurs got 100 price reduction in this patch as well. Now feast your eyes on this godlike play, and all you can do it from the comfort of your own home as well. Double click a spell, give it to a Bone Giant, easy game, easy life. Missile damage goes from low 600s to 1450, more than doubling the effectiveness, and any cowmen he hits will get utterly wrecked. I'm gonna milk this unit for all it's worth. Beastmen have some serious beef with my Bone Giant. Just destroying them, absolutely destroying them. Each shot that hits is gonna kill a model. If it goes through the double rank side of that formation, it'll kill 2. And already killed 4 Minotaurs and done half their HP and damage in the span of about 20 seconds. Hasn't missed a single shot yet either. I mean, look, 30% accuracy nerf, okay. Personally, not seeing it yet. Hasn't missed. Isn't gonna miss this shot either. Right in the ass. Another Minotaur falls, and that is some serious value when you're only a minute into a battle. This was shocking to me. Luck plays a factor for sure, but with that additional reload skill from the Lore of Nehek, a missed shot here or there isn't a big deal. To turn around on a new shot is like 5 seconds. So that is a fantastic start. Better than I could have hoped for. And the Lich Lord's going to keep feeding him that spell every time it's off cooldown, so that bonus for large and huge missile damage can keep chunking away at the Beastmen. What I don't know is, did Bone Giants have enough damage to kill off monstrous infantry models in a single shot before this patch? Wouldn't be surprised if they were right at that threshold, and the additional damage they got was enough to tip them over the edge, but they've been brutal so far. Look how many Minotaurs have died already. He's probably got like 10 kills on them so far. Means he's already pretty much paid for himself, and it'll force my opponent into a position where they really don't want to be. Casket of Souls opening up fire now too, gonna go right into the Koroks Manrippers and start mulching them for dinner. Malagor the Dark Omen will push through, and the Brayherd is getting close to melee combat. This is where things will typically start turning around. but the remnants of those Monstrous infantry now faced with Sepulchral Stalker fire from close range. And they can easily fire over the top of the infantry, hit them right in the face, and that unit is shattered off the bat. Malagor the Dark Omen also took a hit from the Bone Giant, dropping a Bray Scream in the background. More Vile Tides dropping too, and Casket of Souls ripping through the Gore Herd out on the flank. But they will try to get all the way around and start getting into that rear, putting some pressure in my back lines. But the Sepulchral Stalkers are there. Now, they're not amazing versus infantry. They do cause fear. They should have no problem cycle charging Gore Herd, though. Just go in, immediately retreat, and then cycle charge again, and it should be pretty good. You want to kind of use them like Medusas now. You want to use them to block charges, get what kind of damage you can in melee retreat, and then get a full volley off with all that armor piercing. Bone Giant with another no-scope from downtown, and I swear to God, that guy's going to unlock his Red Tiger camo real quick. He's been godlike this game. There's no other way to put it. I have not seen him miss a single shot yet, and he has still not been tied down in melee. But unlike what Malagor the Dark Omen is doing, they're starting to break through the center and a Cygor summon. It's not about throwing the boulders right now. It's about tying down the units that are really messing you up. And Katep is generating a ton of value himself on that Casket of Souls, and a Cygor can beat the crap out of him. So just summon a big lumbering brute with one eye to go in and start smashing the Lich Lord of Khemri. Another Vile Tide dropping down on the Tomb King's right flank. Stalkers retreating, Minotaur Horsemen, and the Tomb Prince in their own control group now, creating a pocket so Katep can retreat if things start going sour. Centaurs with throwing axes are getting good shots into the Sepulchral Stalkers, but they move too far forward, and now Shapti Summon will pin them in the rear as the Stalkers charge forward, and that is a glorious beef sandwich. Nowhere for them to go, really. That will kill quite a few of their number. Some of them will be able to squeegee their way past, but look how much mass is stopping them from going where they want to go. They're getting carved apart in that fight. But still, the Beastmen are not actually losing by all that much right now. The infantry fight is going well in their favor, and that's not that surprising when you consider the builds here. The Gore Herd and the Minotaur combination, or the Minotaurs that actually made it into melee, have certainly done enough to start turning it back into a reasonable engagement. But the Cygor is inflating that balance of power, and he doesn't have much hope of getting to Katep when Stalkers are in his way. Minotaurs with great weapons are going straight in, getting a couple of kills on those high-value 1,300 gold units, but they are severely beaten up from all those Bone Giant shots. And finally, the Bone Giant is forced to commit to melee. But that is the nice thing about a huge monster like that, when a huge construct as the Cygor drops. The Bone Giant isn't just good from range. He can go into melee, cause terror, and has quite a bit of weapon strength here too. Sandstorm on the Centaurs that were completely surrounding the Bone Giant, giving it a little bit more room to breathe, and going full emo temp on them asses. And they're going to run for the hills, and I don't really blame them. Not been great for the Centaurs this game. Chaos Spawn are creating a nice pocket with the Koroks Manrippers, though, and that will be a problem for the Bone Giant as Katep just demolishes that Centaur unit. Look at that accuracy. That is absurd. They were moving, they were on the run, and the entire bombardment hit those Centaurs. And now the Stalkers have created a secondary line behind all the infantry where they can use their armor-piercing range shots and just spit poison into the middle of the blob and sunder the armor and HP of all these poor Chaos Spawn who try to run away, and they're just like, hell no, you ain't going nowhere, playa. Dropped, that unit is deleted from the game. And the Tomb Prince is in there fighting a bunch of Minotaurs and Chaos Spawn, getting some good kills, and his HP is looking just fine. Malagor the Dark Omen, get in there with his axe and his Icons of Vilification as another Vile Tide explodes in the rear. And he's up to 35 or so kills, but he really hasn't done a whole lot this game. Katep has, though. That Casket of Souls continues to be online. A secondary Cygor summon, still trying to get at the Lich Lord of Khemri, but the Stalkers are doing what they do best, using their mass, using their poison and their bonus for large, and protecting their lord. And this is where they kind of form that same role as the Necropolis Knights with halberds. They protect the back, they sweep up all the threats that are trying to get at your lord, and they're doing a very damn good job of it. And Katep on that Roomba of Doom, the Doomba, well over 120 kills, all on pretty high value targets. The Gore Herd are 600, the Koroks Manrippers are well over 1,000. I mean, he's even gotten some kills on Minotaurs with that artillery, and on Centaurs as well. So Katep's been amazing. Tomb Prince and Bone Giant fighting back-to-back against a bunch of Halberds and Chaos Spawn, but these are the last vestiges of Malagor's Bray Herd, and at this point, there's really no way for the Beastmen to come back. They got rid of pretty much all the infantry, but the high-value stuff for the Tomb Kings is still around. A Cygor drops, and Katep is completely safe, has some ammunition left, and has a crap ton of Winds of Magic left, too. So they'll fight it out to the end, but this will be the end of the Bray Herd. Tomb Prince and Bone Giant should be enough, and when looking at those patch notes, I think everybody was thinking, okay, this is probably a net nerf to the Bone Giant. I don't know if people were thinking it's going to, like, completely destroy the unit. God, the Centaurs just got wrecked. Katep's been amazing this game. But when you see minus 30% accuracy on a unit that only fires one salvo every 10, 12 seconds, that's a huge issue, you would think. In this game, I didn't see any issues whatsoever. Now, it is one game. It is entirely possible to just get completely lucky, but I've used it a couple times now, and the Bone Giant every single time has been pretty godlike for me. But the Stalkers were great this game too, and they might have played a less obvious role this game, but it was just as, if not more important. Those shots we already saw right there at the end, those armor-piercing missiles, when you weave that in with the ability to completely block enemy charges, to poison them, to use their Bones for Storage to cut down the high-value threats, and just protect your Lord, they were fantastic that game for me. Every single time something threatening got in the rear, they were there to cause havoc and slice them up good. And so they didn't get a massive amount of kills, 28 for each, but a lot of that was on Minotaurs, a lot of that was on Chaos Spawn, and on Cygors as well. And the Cygor summons could have been a bigger issue if I didn't have Stalkers ready to receive their charge. Katep, 140 kills, incredibly impressive. The Bone Giant, only 41. But again, think about how many of those kills were on Monstrous infantry, and you can tell, he earned 2 chevrons. That's serious value right there. Now, the Beastmen do struggle, I think, against the Undead. It's not that it's impossible for them to win, but against Tomb Kings and Vampire Counts and Vampire Coast, it can get challenging for them for sure, and this was not really meant to be the most competitive of builds. It's a Monstrous infantry build with Chaos Spawn and Minotaurs, trying out the price reductions, trying out all of that good stuff. So I think that one thing we've learned over the last year or so is that the Minibus, while really fun, isn't always the best build to go for. And I will say, I think the patch notes were really interesting because the Wood Elves got 0 changes, the Beastmen got very little besides the Minotaur price reductions, and so that could potentially mean nothing, of course, but I think CA is very much aware of the fact that people want these factions reworked, not just from a campaign perspective, but also from a unit balance and multiplayer perspective as well. So I'd be very curious to see what happens with them in the next couple months. Hopefully, they get some good stuff.